Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you guys know, in our last tutorial, we had talked about JSX and we had learned the differences of components, how we can create with JSX and without JSX. Now, in this tutorial, let me talk about props. As you guys know, in my tutorial 6 and 7, I had told you about functional component and class component. So both of them I was telling you taking props or properties as an input. That is very useful and very healthy to make your application or make your component dynamic. So in this tutorial today I will be telling you how we can create props. Let me go ahead to my visual code and let you know how we can create props. So here this is the component we have it greet that we had created last time. Greeting from greet is appearing here. Let me move ahead to my visual code and my browser and show you. Here we have this as usual where we left last time. So what if I want to make the same component multiple times? For example, I will say this greeting from the greet component should change to some name like greeting from Clark, and this same component I will reuse it again and I will say greeting from Diana, greeting from XYZ, any name. Let me go ahead and let tell you that how you can do that one. So simply like how you can reuse the component by just copy pasting it multiple time in your parent component where nested component we are calling. So let's see here you are receiving now you are seeing that this component is appearing multiple time. Greeting from greet component. So this is not much healthier and useful for us. What we want is we want this component to be dynamic. This component should get the name from for everyone who's greeting and show it in my browser. So this should be done by making the component dynamic and passing the props. So let me show you how we can pass the props. We can just write the name, then flower bracket or curly bracket and inside it quotes, and then I will say here Clark. This is the easiest way to pass the props. Same as in the second and third component. I will say Clark, Diana, and I will say J. So these are three people who are going to greet you in your browser. In my functional component, how can I receive props? By using props variable. This variable name or this property name you can change it as name you want. It's up to you, but I will highly recommend you to keep the same name. It's better. So let me go ahead and change greet component to props dot name. So I will save it. It's showing still props dot name. I am not achieving the same thing what I want. Let me go ahead here and try to log it console.logs to see that if I am receiving the same value what I had passed from my parent component or no. So for that I have to open an inspect element and go to my console. As you guys see, I'm receiving the value Clark, Diana and J. So how can I spawn it in my HTML? This is not treated as JavaScript variables. Here compiler is treating it as a string. So by wrapping it with curly bracket, compiler will treat it as JavaScript variable and pass the names. So here you guys can see we had passed our first props and make our component dynamic, and we are seeing here in our browser greeting from Clark, from Diana and J. Let me go ahead and pass another props to make it more comfortable for you that how you can pass the props. Like I can say location, pass the location, and in the location pass first for the first one pass office, and let me copy the same one and try to write it down for both of them. For second one pass it as home, and for the J pass it college. So I'll see here I am not seeing anything. Let me go to my greet component and I'll say add again curly bracket and props dot location. Hit save and go to browser. You can see greeting from Clark at office, greeting from Diana at home, greeting from J at college. So the way, this is the way you can pass the props. So there are two types of props in components. Either you can pass them as property that will be, that will appear before the closing tag of the component or before inside the component declaration. There is another way to pass some props is as children. So in that way you have to make the component separate component by opening and closing separate tabs, and inside it I will say I want to pass button for this, and I will say action button, and I'll just take this button. It's not appearing here, and let me show you how you can do it here. Simply curly bracket and you will say props dot children, and that's it. Here you can see action button is appearing. So for the second one I want to pass I can say h1 tag, for example. Not yeah, let's pass h1 tag, keep it simpler and easier. So for that one I should pass h1 tag. I should say I am ready to go out. As you guys see, like it's showing I'm ready to go out. Let's make it h3 tag so it will look like a bit different than our other components. So it's h3, so see it's smaller. For the third one let's pass an input. So we will see how we can pass an input as child. So I can say input type text. So see, here is the input, here is I'm ready, here is action button. These are the ways you can pass the props or properties. So let's figure out where to use the the props as properties, and where to use the props as children. In case you know what you want to pass to component, for example, you know that name and location will go to the component from the parent component. So that time you should use properties to pass props. In case the you don't know what you are going to pass to your child component, in that scenario you should use children props. So very simple, very easy how to pass props. Let me go ahead and tell you how to pass props in our class component. So here is my class component, welcome. Let me just duplicate that component 3 times as well, and let me pass the same props to this component also, welcome from, and I will say same thing, welcome from J, Diana and Clark. So this is the way to pass props here in welcome component. So let me go ahead and tell you how you can achieve these props here. So welcome from, I will remove class component. I'll just say by using this dot props you can get the props dot name. Let me go ahead and show you in the browser. Welcome from Clark, from Diana and from J. So in the class component you should use this dot props. After that I will say at this dot props dot location, and hit save. So you can see welcome from Clark at office, welcome from Diana at home, welcome from Jay at college. Very simple, very easy. Let me go ahead and try to tell you one more thing. If I want, for example, in the children component to change the name, for example, I will say props.name, keep it, for example, future dimensions 360. Let's hit enter and see. See, my browser is saying cannot assign read only property. These props, what you are receiving in your child component, you can change them only in the parent component. In child component, these props are read only. You cannot assign any other value to them. That's pretty good for today's lecture. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. See you soon inshallah in the next tutorial. Allah Hafiz.